Well, good morning. Coffee Conversations with Greg J is on. What it do? Another Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. I had a taco for breakfast because I don't know when I'm going to be able to have a taco later on today. So busy around here. Coming to you live from the Dream Creators Studio, East Village Arts District, Long Beach, California. Yeah, you know, we're global. Well, we live in Long Beach, so every now and again we come back and we talk about things that are happening over here in the beautiful city of the LBC. And today we're going to be talking about public art. Public art. You know, this is an interesting conversation, right? So I'm part of this organization. It's the Arts Council for Long Beach. And, you know, mission is to support the arts community. And while I've been there, I've been exposed to, you know, a lot of stuff. If you know me, and you know, I've produced a lot of stages, been around a lot of music, been an advocate for arts, you know, de facto advocate for arts for a million years. But being a part of this formal organization, right, has exposed me to a lot of different things, you know, up close and personal, classical music, camerata singing, painters, sculptors, you know, it's just a really cool experience to be a part of. And there's this notion about public art. And normally we're going to spread our wings. You know, we talk mostly culturally relevant topics on this show. And we're going to tie that in, of course, in this context. But I want to explain, you know, what public art is. So, you know, when you look around, you see the murals in your city, you see the sculptures and all of that whole thing. That's considered public art. And so today we're going to explore the history of public art in Long Beach. Right now, I see across all those different Facebook pages and social media pages that are for the Long Beach neighborhoods. People are saying that, you know, in this pandemic time, people are going out and tagging the beautiful murals that we see all around the city. We're going to chat about that a little bit. And we're just going to talk about the history too, history of homes, architecture, you know. So it's a diverse and interesting conversation we're about to have today. Up in LA, you know, the conversation is, you know, the Black History mural right there on Crenshaw Boulevard. Y'all know that one. And then since they've been putting the train in, it suffered a great deal of damage. And I know that there's a coalition up there working to save that mural, you know. You know, the murals of Patrick Johnson all up and down the Crenshaw corridor. Y'all know those artists like that. You know, but sometimes when you talk to folks in our community, we say public art is, you know, just a fancy way of saying graffiti, you know, that others are saying, no, this is beautifying the concrete and everything, these desolate urban areas, you know. It's an interesting conversation, right? So, you know, there's a young lady that works in the offices over there at the Arts Council for Long Beach, and she is the public arts manager. And so she's going to come in and bring some friends along with her. And we're going to have a dialogue, conversation, sip coffee and talk about public art in the beautiful city of Long Beach. Ladies and gentlemen, Cynthia Lujan. There she is. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing all right, Cynthia. You know, how are you doing in these COVID environments? Your family okay? Everybody good?
Yeah, I'm grateful. You know, my family's doing well, and you know, just trying to stay positive and trying to stay safe. So, yeah.
All right, that's what's up. Okay, that's
How
what,
about
look,
you and your family?
yeah, we're doing all right. It's been blessed. You know, there's a hedge around us, and that's what we say.
That's good.
All right, so Cynthia, tell the people, you know, this notion of public art. I want to ask you two questions. First of all, explain to the people what is public art, you know, and from the official, you know, perspective, and then talk to us a little bit about what you know about because I know people are burning to know this. Um, how do we repair some of the murals and stuff that have been tagged up by the taggers? But what is public art?
Yeah, so public art in general, is art that is experienced within the public sphere. And so traditionally that could mean architecture and sculptural work, installations, but, in a more contemporary sense, public art is also performing arts within public spaces, social practice, and, in terms of mural work, I think that there's been some methods that have been seen as more traditional, and more recently, especially in Long Beach in the last 20 years, it's really transformed, and people's approach toward and view towards public art and murals and graffiti has transitioned and transformed for a while now. And so, in general, public art is art that you can experience within the public sphere.
Well, Cynthia, I used to work at KJLH Radio, owned by Stevie Wonder, and we would go all around, South LA, Compton, Watts, deep, inner city, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I would always see, some of the abandoned buildings and everything, but I would see the folks of the hood would paint these beautiful murals, and I started taking pictures of them on my Instagram page, and I would be hashtag hood art, because I was so amazed with the creativity that was birthed out of such, dire circumstances, and now when I come to Long Beach, I see, it's a thing. It's a it's a art form.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think that Judy Estrada could definitely speak more to that regard than I could. I think it would be great to bring her on at this point.
All right, let's bring Judy in, ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous, the almighty Judy Estrada. Good morning. Good morning, Judy. How are you? I think you might be muted there. Judy, you got your microphone on?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. Okay, I muted myself, but now I'm good. I'm doing good.
Excellent. Doing all right. How you been surviving in the COVID environment? Everything good?
Yes, everything's good. A lot of walking, outside walks have been saving me.
All right. That's good. Good stuff. All right. Well, we're having this conversation about public art. What is it? Uh-oh. Sorry.
Yes. That's a good question. Public art, it's a lot of things. To me, public art is communication in its ultimate form. Art is like universal language, and public art is meant to communicate something, whether it's communicate beauty, communicate diversity, everything, every piece, even if you speak to the artist, it's to communicate.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. It's interesting, the nation, if you will, exploded, right, in protests for social justice, against police violence and systemic racism and whatnot. And as the businesses around Long Beach and probably other cities too, if y'all are watching from wherever you're watching, you might want to chime in and see. But here at Long Beach, I noticed, the business owners put their the plywood over their windows and everything for protection. And then the artists came through and painted all these beautiful images, social justice messages. I mean, it was really, really, really something to see. Talk a little bit about that there, Judy. What do you think? How does that affect you? And why did the arts community come up and speak their voice through arts on these panels?
Well, I think it also goes back to what I was saying is like art is universal language. It's often hard to communicate feelings when you're feeling so much emotion. It can be hard to put it into words. So if you put it into images, or just if you just putting something in your hand or movement helps you get that out. And I think that's what happened is a lot of people, you know, we're inside our homes, and we're not only are we inside our homes, we are inside our minds, we are inside our heads. We are now thinking about things. And in doing so, we realize like how much pain, just emotion, raw emotion is trapped inside of us that we can't or don't want to let out because we're running to work, running to school, moving to the next thing. And last year we had nothing but time to think. And then when all this happened, it was our time to act. So we have all this going on in our heads, and now we want to get it out. And that was a time to get it out. And I think that the COVID cover-up, the beginning of the pandemic, laid the foundation to like the painting of the murals, of the boarded up buildings when things first shut down. That led to the civil uprising movement, the artistic movement.
Okay, all right. Hey, Cynthia, you have a video in there. I think I'm seeing. You want to? Can you can share that from your side? I think. Can you?
Oh, okay, sure. I'll go ahead and do that.
This will show us some of the beautiful art.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so we can see an example of it. This is really, really great. And then while you're pulling that up together, I want to bring in the rest of your guests so we can be one big happy family. Got a full house this morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, while we're doing that, while you're looking for that, Cynthia, Judy, can you introduce your guest?
Okay, we have Amy Stock. She's
Hi, everyone.
Grace Galleries and Tour LBC. And also a great East Village Arts advocate.
Okay. All right. Yes. I think I see Amy as my neighbor right there. Yes.
Yes, I am.
All right.
I believe I'm across the street.
Wow. There you go. Okay. All right. Very good. And then, okay, look, I got this one.
Okay.
So, Maureen Neely, good morning. Historian, librarian, all around good person. We're just trying to figure out how do we say the name of your organization? Who Story or House Story?
House Stories. It's one of those amalgamated words where I look at house and histories.
Yeah, when I got introduced to you, I was like, okay, what the heck? Very good. Yeah. All right. You know, history of public art while we're trying to get this one together. Well, she signed out. What's the history of public art? I know you're a historian, and I'm in Long Beach anyway, you know?
Yeah. Well, I would say, you know, I really got interested in the public art that was erected during the New Deal. So that was during the 1930s, during the Depression. It was a time of incredible creativity, probably born out of great hardship, as art often is. And what was unique, I think, in Long Beach is, like in 1929, the stock market crashes. But interesting enough, you know, Long Beach was in a pretty good place. You know, we had a lot of industry, we had oil, you know, over by the port, there was, you know, lots of Procter & Gamble was there. So we had jobs. And we had, you know, agriculture, so people weren't necessarily starving. But in 1933, we had a big earthquake, and that probably affected us more than even the Depression. It really like snowballed and had to. It created a perfect storm, if you will. But on the other end was Franklin Delano Roosevelt had run the election. And he got installed in March 1933. And we have a lot of talk right now about first 100 days. Well, one of his first 100 days in office projects was to, you know, kind of secure the banks and secure money so people weren't so nervous. He started his fireside chats. But he also had good advisors. And one of his advisors was an old classmate. His name was George Biddle, Biddle. And George was impressed at the time in the 20s, you know, the Mexican government had started a very extensive program of federally funded public art. And we know a lot of the artists that came out of that was Siqueiros and Orozco, and of course, Rivera, Kahlo, numerous others. I think Tamayo even came out of that project, where Obregon was the president, and he was funding these big murals. So George Biddle had been exposed to those, and you know, got into Roosevelt's ear and said, you know, we got this depression, and you know, what if we started doing some bankroll some public art? And so that was kind of the beginning, and it really took off. Today we know it as the Public Works Administration, the Public Works of Art Project, the Public Administration Project. I mean, there was a lot of acronyms. It's like they call it the alphabet soup of federal funding. But that was kind of the genesis of it. And when they started talking about funding artists, that was a little progressive, I would say. It was a little new because, you know, artists are kind of on those outskirts. People they always kind of put those down on the bottom of the list. But Harry Hopkins was one of FDR's advisors at the time. And he said, hell, even artists have to eat. So that was a really, that kind of resounded people. And so they started these art programs, federally funded, and they would put artists, they would have to apply for the program on the payroll. And so that federal funding helped to employ people who had these talents. And it wasn't just easel art, wasn't just murals. They funded writers' projects, they funded music and theater. And some of those works still remain. And we see today in Long Beach, so bringing it down from the macro to the micro, in Long Beach, we have numerous pieces of art and architecture still with us today. And I'd be happy to talk about that more, you know, once we drill down. But in my opinion, the public art in Long Beach really took off in the 1930s, and primarily due to this federal funding.
Right. So I have a question right in here. So it's great history and everything. And just because we always come from, you know, a culturally relevant perspective, I just did a project with the Long Beach NAACP and learned about Ernest McBride, who came along around the same time that you're discussing and everything. And so I'd like to know, in your research, how does the African-American community, artist community, fit into these periods that you're describing right now?
So very little research has been done by me. Let's just put it this way. I've done a lot of research on the artists that worked in Long Beach. They were primarily white. We had a lot of women that were hired. And most of them, it seems, were first or second generation citizens. So they were from the Eastern Europe, for the most part. For the African Americans in Long Beach, which we didn't have a large population, and I'm not as adept in speaking on this, there's been a couple really good research projects that have been done on this population, that there were subgroups. They weren't necessarily artists, but there was the sewing circles for the African. There was a Black, Negro woman sewing circles.
The quilters.
Well, yes and no. So what they were sewing were clothing to give away to people who needed clothing. So it was that cyclical idea that people didn't have money, but they still needed clothes. So fabric would be donated or bought by the federal government, and then the government would pay sewers to put together clothing. And as you can imagine, there, for every action, there's a reaction. So clothing manufacturers in the United States, who were actually still operating industries, were not happy with this because they were getting undercut. Their clothing sales were going down, which they probably would have gone down anyway, since people couldn't afford them. So it's interesting that type of thing would go on. There was also my friend Dr. Kay Briegel just mentioned to me this week. She called and said that she's been really working on the Republican Negroes. Let's see, how did she put it? It was a Republican women's group that did reading, and they also did like salons in order to promote politicians or candidates in their community to run. Now that wasn't it wasn't a New Deal project, but it's just an interesting side group that came out of this era.
Now, your perspectives also, you mentioned architecture. So I know we have a couple of Paul Williams buildings in the city. It's now the Antioch Church over there on what is that? It's around about Fourth and Pine. Yes, yeah, that's one of his buildings there. Yeah. He's all over Southern California. Speak to the influence of, say, a Paul Williams around the city of Long Beach. And then there's another one. There's another African American architect that is named. Oh man, I can't remember his name sitting here right here now. But it used to be
Roy Seeley.
Yes, thank you. Right. Yes. Yeah. So speak about their influence, in this arts world of Long Beach.
So they did not get New Deal commissions. I don't think they were at the right age, but they did establish their architectural studios, mostly in the 40s, and then further on. Paul Revere Williams was incredibly well respected as an architect and as a human being. He also brought in several junior architects. I think Roy Seeley was one, to kind of give him that leg up and get him out there and getting commissions. In Long Beach, his designs were quite distinctive. He was, I'm speaking of Paul Revere Williams, he designed the naval buildings that were down on the port. And that they were incredible kind of federal looking buildings. For the time, the interiors were absolutely stunning. And I don't know if a lot of your listeners realize, but the city tore those down, and the historic preservation community realized what gems were going to be destroyed. So they sued and were able to get some mitigation for that. And there's a $4 million mitigation that was given to these preservation groups. And out of that came the Long Beach Navy Memorial Heritage Trust. And it is a foundation, a funding organization to help preservation projects and historic projects within the city of Long Beach, as well as any projects that have to do with Paul Revere Williams or the Navy. So I encourage people, if they have any projects or work that they're doing that touch on any of those aspects, to check out the website. It's administered through the Long Beach Community Foundation, and there may be some help for you there. Wow. So Paul Revere Williams, he also did a lot of work for residential homes. We have a few here in Long Beach. There's, I think, at least one in Park Estates, several up in Country Club. Roy Seeley, of course, his big claim to fame was the Edgewater Inn, which again we unceremoniously tore down just a couple of years ago, and that is where Second and PCH, the marketplace development, Second and PCH sits today. So it's tough to be a preservationist sometimes in the city, but on the other hand, I'm a firm believer that one of the great things about the city is that we did put the brakes on tearing down some of our historic architecture and keeping some of our New Deal art and architecture. And that is to our credit. And I think it is a reason that Long Beach is a choice for businesses and individuals to invest in our community, because they see us as different than a lot of other Southern California cities that have no soul, as I like to say. No architectural soul.
No architectural soul. That's right. As a matter of history, I think these panels that we were talking about earlier will go down in artistic history. Let's bring back Cynthia so she can show us the great videos there. Cynthia, welcome back. You ready to show us some videos?
Yes. Hi. Thank you. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Thrown off. And
we're just sitting around having our coffee, chopping it up. This is good. I really, really appreciate all of you for coming on this morning. Okay, I see it here. Let me bring it up. All right, what are we going to look at, Cynthia? Give us the premise.
Yes, so this is a project that Judy Estrada actually managed at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, which was a response to the to having the businesses boarded up. And yeah, I'll go ahead and roll this, and then.
Okay. Wow, there's a lot of art out there, just all over the city. This is a really beautiful thing. I'm gonna grab that video, you guys, and I'm gonna put it in the Coffee Conversations with Greg J Facebook page, and I'm gonna also give you some photos that I took too, because I had my iPhone and I was out there making it happen, because I really was amazed, especially when, we came down after that Sunday. We came down to the East Village to make sure that our little business was still intact. And, it was just really interesting to see all of the art, all of the messages on the plywood all over the East Village Arts District. And then even, up on Anaheim and Long Beach Boulevard. There's a building there that used to be the old Packard place, and it was covered with really fantastic art. And no matter where I went, I just saw all of these different messages over there where the Walmart used to be. They were all, it was just really amazing that the artists really came out and made those messages there. You know, Amy, I want to bring you into the conversation there. I mean, you're in the East Village. You saw what I saw there. What were your thoughts when you saw all of the art around on the plywood?
Yeah, you know, it was such an interesting time. I happen to have a window that looks out on Linden, and I'm 5 floors up. I can very easily see everything. So, you know, the day and the night of the 31st of May was, you know, emotions that I've never felt before. And then the next day going out and seeing all of these artists expressing their feelings. You know, I think a lot of us leading up to that didn't really know how to put into words our emotions and what was going on. And it was just so beautiful to see all of this art going up and just, yeah, everyone sharing how they felt, you know, positive emotions, you know, negative emotions, mixed emotions. Yeah, it was great. So for about a week or so, I also, with Tour LBC, was going out and taking lots of photos. So if you go to our Instagram handle at Tour LBC, you can see a lot of those photos as well of the capturing everyone out there painting. And a lot of the artists out there had never painted a mural before. So that was really fun to see how excited they were to get to work in a larger scale.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, Amy, what is Tour LBC? What is that? I had some of your decals or whatever they were when I did the art walk. And I think I got them from the Arts Council, and I just said, okay, these look cool. But what is Tour LBC?
So Tour LBC is an app, and it is self-guided tours of the art, history, and culture of Long Beach. And I started it basically, me and my partner, because of where I live, right? I live in a historic building. There's tons of murals in the neighborhood, and I was seeing people constantly taking photos of the buildings and the murals, and I was wondering if they even knew what they were looking at. Mm. So we're like, how can we share this information? So we put an app together, and now we have all of these tours. So we have quite a few tours of just murals, and then we also have tours of architecture, historical architecture throughout the city as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Let me just say this to all the entire panel here. You know, all right, we got all this art. We're looking at it. It's beautiful. It's a good thing. It's an essential service to the city. Arts is an essential service to the recovery of the city. That's my political stance there. You know, so now we're seeing, and I'm noticing on all these, you know, Facebook pages and that are dedicated to the various communities of Long Beach and everything. And I even see the famous East Village Arts District mural where Dream Creator Studio is located. You know, it's been defaced by the taggers, and a lot of people are, you know, they're you know, residents are even talking about just getting a bucket of paint and painting over the beautiful murals. They're frustrated with who they could, not being able to find who they could talk to about, you know, repairing the murals or restoring them or doing something about the graffiti that's happening. We even had a conversation with one of the council members. Council member Al Austin was talking about a mural that was that's on Atlantic, right under the railroad tracks. His frustration is tagged up, you know, and he wants to figure out how to get it fixed. You know, what do you all say about this defacing that's happening, especially in the COVID, and how can we connect with those out there on these here streets to get them to respect the murals and maybe even help us repair them? Anybody could take that, because I got my mural outside the building here is tagged right now, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, so I do want to give one great example that recently just happened in the last few weeks of a community-driven effort to restore a mural in Cambodia Town off Anaheim, and I want to say it's Gaviota, but it's escaping me, the cross street. But the artist is Tita Whitney Lick. And the AOC7 Neighborhood Association recently reached out to us and was trying to get this artwork restored. And they're very involved with their community and very passionate about improving the quality of life and bringing and retaining dignity for their neighborhood. And they do a lot of programming and community outreach in their neighborhood, and they're very organized and very vocal, and we're able to get this artwork restored by finding a sponsor to allocate funding to redistribute to the artist for their materials and their time to restore this artwork. And we were able to assist in connecting the artist to the neighborhood association. And also the reason why we were able to do that is a huge reason why I was hoping to come on today was to share more about our public art map and our public art tours that are currently posted on our website. And I really want to look to this recent development with regards to restoration of a public artwork in Cambodia Town as as a case study to observe, that if an artwork wants to be retained and restored, the community can come together and really advocate for that. I think that, when it comes to tagging and defacement of murals or artworks, it sucks. But at the same time, it is people who want to creatively express themselves as well. And so me personally, I try to be unbiased, but at the same time, it does take a lot of effort, money, time, and constant communication to get these artworks restored. And so it really takes a community, in my opinion, to establish that protection and establish that that pride in the artwork. And I would definitely say that this situation luckily turned out, in the favor of the art, and they were able to restore it to its full, glorious.
Okay, so something you said just struck me. So you're right. When the tagger goes out and he defaces it, he's seeking an expression of art, his or her creative expression. And so then it strikes me now, how do we reach that one to show that there are these resources in the support system, like the website that you just described? Maybe they can enroll, or how do they get on that? And how do we get that message down to the street level so that they can see the value in what they're doing and maintain a little bit of discipline with what they're going about doing as they paint on public spaces?
Yeah, so a couple things, and most of it actually sprouts from the mural program that has been happening through Parks and Rec. So I'm not sure if you're aware with Homeland Cultural Center, but not too long ago, and for quite a while, there was a community art space in the back of Homeland where people would, meet up and do, and everyone has a different perspective on what the term graffiti means. A lot of people pride themselves in retaining the term as a positive thing. And, I try to make the effort at the Arts Council to not use the term graffiti in a negative way. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in the terminology and stuff like that, but, it is a means to creatively express oneself. And, yeah, so at that location, you know, there was a lot of like community outreach, and it was kind of like a communal wall, like at Venice Beach. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that mural wall that they have there. So it was the same kind of idea where people would come and paint what they want, and then, you know, they'd leave it up for a few days, and then the next batch of artists would come through. And so that was one program that, you know, was happening for quite a while, and recently it hasn't been happening, and I'm not too sure why. But also the Parks and Rec department had a mural program for, you know, a good 20 years, where a lot of the public art artists that are that have come out of Long Beach actually went through that program. And it was really a mentorship program where over 130 artworks were painted in the last 20 to 30 years, I believe. And the staff, including Heather Green, you know, were instrumental in running that program. And yeah, I think that there's ways that we can create programming at parks, at different community organizations that engage youth, engage, you know, artists, not just youth, and engage not only men but women too, because there are women taggers too. And because you said he, just want to note that.
And I said, or he or she. That's what I said. Now, all right,
okay,
now, come
on. So yeah, I don't know. I think that there's so much opportunity, and, you know, we really want to reach out to people and like let them know that we're here to support art and creative expression. And you know, we try to remain as unbiased as possible, but also want to respect other people's work too. And I think that that's been a part of like graffiti culture. But, you know, I honestly think that it's like people that aren't from Long Beach that have been tagging like the really big like bombs or whatever. And yeah, when they hit up UCC, United Cambodian Community, I took it to heart, because it's like, hey man, don't mess with them. Like they're, you know, a community organization, and like, it's it's not okay.
You know, it's interesting. I mean, you were talking about the terminology, and I had a brief conversation with one of the board members, actually, of the Arts Council for Long Beach. And, you know, when we talk about graffiti, I mean, it's an expression of hip hop culture. I mean, you know, if I look at it, I watched hip hop explode from the very beginning. As an industry executive, I was there, you know, in West Coast, LA, LBC, Compton. Yeah, I was there. And, you know, graffiti art is an essential part of hip hop culture. It's not just the music; it's the breakdancing, it's the graph art. You know, all that. I know. I have a friend of mine who was a tagger back in the day, who now, as a, you know, grown man with a wife and kids, works in a major advertising agency now. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's these are artists who just were born out of the community and expressed themselves wherever they could. And, you know, sides of buildings and trains and whatnot, that was the canvas, right? And so now it's interesting for me at my age to watch the art form now grow and evolve into this, all y'all fancy people up there at the Arts Council, it's you know, it's a thing, right? And, you know, where it, you know, back in the day, it used to be just like, this is what was happening in the hood, you know, and now it really is a thing. Look at us, we're having a coffee conversation about public art, right? And so there's that. And so I think it would be important I would advocate for you and Judy and others to, you know, I would advocate for support for you all to get down to the nitty gritty and be able to reestablish these great programs that you talked about. Maybe could be the catalyst to, you know what, it could save a young person's life to have go ahead.
Yes, and I totally agree. And I'd really like to bring on Judy to talk about our Determination Long Beach project, which culminated in February 2020, and we did have a community celebration at Long Beach Transit. Yeah, I'd really love to bring her on, and I can also share the mural on screen.
Okay, Judy, there you are. Let's see. I'm gonna take. No offense to y'all. I just want to just kind of take you out. And where's my other person? Got me working, Cynthia. Let's see. All right, go for it. I'm going to take myself out.
So the determination mural, it was opportunity for me to create, to show the graffiti, or like the evolution of graffiti and Chicano art is art, and it's not just tagging. Oftentimes, I think that not only is the art judged, but also who is making the art is judged. So, you know, if a white person is, I'll just say it, if a white person is doing lettering, then it looks cool and it looks like art. But if you have a black or brown person doing lettering, then all of a sudden it's gang related. So not to say like that is where, you know, and like Greg said, hip hop culture and all of that is where graffiti and lettering, all of that came to be. And I grew up in West Long Beach. One of my favorite murals is the Irie Park mural on the west side. And that was like one of the very first times I felt like that there was more progressive art. And I was just a kid at the time. So my very first interactions with art was tattooing, seeing my dad get tattooed in our kitchen. And then having all of that art, graffiti in West Long Beach, right next to the port, which had trains. So there was, and it's still a popular spot. So when we have our art viewed as just vandalism or just this bad. So when we create art, like people that do graffiti, lettering, it's bad. So if we're bad, then why not be the baddest? And then that's, you know, Homeland came in, and yeah, a lot of graffiti artists that made Homeland what it is have felonies for creating this type of art. They can't get jobs for the art that muralists were just able to create last year. So there's also a lot of anger there. So that, I think that's why certain murals are being tagged over. So if we're not invited to the table, if we're not invited to create murals, if our art is not viewed as art, then we'll just create our own space. So, and like Cynthia says, I think, you know, for me, like growing up in my lifetime, I have seen a lot of these social programs being cut. Mm-hmm. Homeland is cut. PAL, which was more like athletics, that was cut. And so now, so those were cut when, like, say about 15 years ago. Now there's nothing for people to do. So it's, again, you know, you see all of this art and it's like, wait a minute, this person from who knows where painted this on this wall. I don't know who that person is. I don't care for that person. They came into my home and painted. So I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to paint over that. So I don't think that it's necessarily outsiders painting. I think it's very much our own community painting. Mm-hmm. And it also speaks to, like, you know, to Cambodia town being able to come together. That's a very tight-knit community. Mm-hmm. The rest of Long Beach isn't so much like that.
All right, let me ask you this, because this is a conversation that I've had not only in Long Beach, all across my travels, all into LA, San Diego, just everywhere, you know, especially in our communities. And, you know, there are people who think, even they'll look at this beautiful determination mural and they'll look at the one out here, East Village Arts District, and they'll say, okay, that's just graffiti. That's just some vandalism happening. but yet you try to explain to them that this is art, this is really is art, and they just say no, there's just an excuse for vandals to do what they do. Do you think it's generational?
I think it is. I think it is a little generational. I think it's a little cultural. I am of Native Mexican descent, and I have heard on both sides, oh, that's beautiful. Like this guy, he went to prison, but he's the most sought after graffiti artist. Mm-hmm. So I have some of my family saying wow, this is amazing art. Then I have some of my other family saying oh, that's just trash. He's just a loser. He's in prison. That's where he belongs. Mm-hmm. It's well, maybe if he had art, if he had homeland, he wouldn't be there. So that he wouldn't be in prison. He didn't have to go that route. Which is also why I wanted to. This determination mural was so important to me because I heard that from an artist, Big Sleeps. He's a global artist. He's not pre-COVID. He was not in the country long enough to he went out of his way to work with the Arts Council to stay in California to make to teach students this art form and how to cultivate their passion, because now he's in gallery. He's not just in galleries, but the Getty Museum has his work. So he's in the Getty, he's at LACMA. So not only has he taken his from tagging, probably tagging buses, because this is at Long Beach Transit, RTD, that's big in graffiti culture. Yeah. So from tagging buses to now being in museums. So if we are able to show the youth coming up that Cheeto, the guy who's tagging everywhere. So if we tell Cheeto, yo, Cheeto, work on your craft, cultivate that gift, turn it into something, and then you can be touring the world. Screw Long Beach, tour the world. We are so much bigger. So it's to show us that we are more than just 5 city blocks. We're more than just some dirty streets that aren't cleaned up. We are so much more than that, and we can be more.
It's really interesting, because you see the growth. And like I said early on in the show, even just traveling all around Watts, Compton, South LA, Long Beach, you go into these hoods and you see beautiful works of art on these dilapidated buildings. And you're right, is just can grow into something that's a great story of someone who came in the tagging culture to now being an artist in museums, in world-class museums. My goodness. There's a story in fine art. I know if you guys follow this, but Basquiat, Jean Basquiat, his paintings are selling for hundreds of millions of dollars. And when you look at the history of him, that's in New York City, in Soho. He started out as a graffiti artist. This is what he did. And now, he's passed away now, died of a heroin overdose, but his art is selling for hundreds of millions of dollars, some of the greatest art in the world, they're saying now. And that started out in graffiti culture. Now, I want to bring Maureen back in because I'm curious to know, all right, Maureen, how does all of this fit into the artistic history of Long Beach?
Yeah, it's so funny as Judy was talking. It really it's the same story in the New Deal era. We had so many young artists come into Long Beach from all over, and they were given a chance. I look at Gene Swiggett. Okay, here's this young person. He moved into Long Beach with his family from Indiana, and he went to Poly, and he ended up being interested in art, and he went to Chouinard Art School, and then he got hired by the federal government during the New Deal to come back and paint an incredible mural in his old alma mater at Poly. So if you go into Polytechnic High School, I think Building 100 in the stairwell has an incredible, it's the whole wall, two to three sides. It covers the stairwell of industrial activities in Long Beach. And you see all of the type of industries that were going on. Now, one of the things that I bring up Poly for a reason is, so here's these artists, Gene Swiggett and his partner, Ivan Bartlett, was another artist that collaborated on that particular mural. Well, while they're painting, just like Judy was saying, and Cynthia was alluding to, the students are walking by, they're going up and down the stairs, they're seeing what's going on. And so they're talking to these artists who, especially Gene, who graduated from Poly like a few years ago. And here he is now like doing this incredible mural. So that actually fostered several artists coming out of Poly. And Poly does still have some of these easel arts that were presented to the school later on their own. This one kid named Eugene Brooks, he ended up going to Poly, and he was so taken with what Ivan and Gene were doing that he went home and he started painting in the style of the WPA. And he did a really great easel art that's called American Education. I call it a WPA knockoff because he wasn't paid by the federal government, but he did it on his own time. So he ended up going into the arts as an adult, and that again was fostered by these artists that he saw, and we see that throughout. I think I don't know if I mentioned, but most of the money that we got for some of the art in Long Beach were to rebuild the schools, and within the schools, because the schools, of course, had been damaged by the 1933 earthquake, within the schools, art was placed. And that's where we see a great opportunity for the school district to use these pieces to talk about the history of arts in Long Beach, and to talk about, what these students were like, and the scenes that are depicted, and the struggles that these artists went through as well. So there's a really great opportunity, and I think I thank the Arts Council for helping me to put together in one cohesive package now where these art pieces are and the architecture, to talk about the artists and the architects that were brought in here, and then to introduce this through Amy's app, which is Tour LBC, to be able to walk around and see these things, and to hear and read about who these people were and what the art was trying to convey.
Right. I want to bring Amy back into the conversation, but before I do that, there's my super producer, Rhonda Love.
Oh, hey, Rhonda. Hi, Judy. Hi, Maureen.
Hi, Rhonda. Good to see you.
Love you guys. Keep doing all the great work.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Very good. So, Amy, let me see. I'm gonna grab out. I see those other beautiful murals here. I'm gonna bring you all. Bam. Let's see. Okay. Tour LBC. Let's see. There's Amy. I want to make you solo first. All right. So, Amy, how does all this stuff that we're listening to and learning about this morning, how does it fit into the Tour LBC app? Are you going to add some stuff? Have you found anything new, or did you already know it?
Yeah, so it's been fun working with both Maureen and Cynthia and putting this project together, which is kind of cool because it combines all of our other tours are either art or history, and this is a really great way of tying two of those components together. So yeah, we're gonna release a tour very shortly that is going to take you around the city so that you can see all of these different WPA artwork and architecture that was created, and yes, gives you an opportunity to get to know maybe neighborhoods you haven't ever been in. I know there's a lot. I didn't grow up here, so I haven't really had an opportunity to be inside any of the schools here, but most of the artwork is in like elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. So it's a great opportunity to show people what beautiful architecture and art has been in these schools for so long. yeah, what you guys are seeing here. Yeah. So this is a little sneak peek of just some different tours that you will, or locations that you'll get to see on the tour within the app.
All right. So now if I go and I could just go to the App Store and I can download the app Tour LBC, and it'll be exploring. Now, let me ask you this question. I'm now my marketing brain is starting to spin with your app here. Okay, so when we return to the arts, the art walk, is that a good time to have the app and tie into the Tour LBC when we have the art walk down here in the East Village Arts District?
Yes, absolutely. There is actually a tour already on there that walked you through the different businesses that were participating, and then also any murals that you would walk past, and public art that's along the way. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that seems like a really strong fit, because I know when we got it really cracking here, I noticed there were a lot of people from outside of the area of the East Village, and they were wanting to know. Me myself, I mean, I've been here a full presidential term now, but LA, I'm becoming sort of an ambassador of tourism for Long Beach, and I know that people are wanting to come down for the art walk when I talk about it, and when we begin that activity again, this is something that we could talk about. We could really get to the essence of of the arts, especially in the East Village Arts District. But you're all over Long Beach.
I am. I did start downtown since that's where I live.
Yeah.
But, Powwow has murals all over the city. And so I do have tours for each of the different powwows that have happened over the last several years. And then more recently, actually, we started working with historic neighborhoods and creating tours. So that was the first, that's what we've been launching during COVID. And I actually worked with Maureen Neely on one for her neighborhood, Belmont Heights. And so, yeah, it's been fun to learn so many different aspects of the city's culture and history, and yeah, how the arts have tied in for such a long period of time into the city.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about powwow. Let's bring the whole gang in. I keep hearing about powwow, and sometimes it sounds like they're the evil empire, and other times it's like, well, they're necessary. What is powwow, and how do they fit into this grand scheme of public art? And whoever wants to take it, go.
So Powwow Long Beach is an international mural program that happens in various countries. Initially, it started out of Hawaii, and the first time it came on to mainland US is in Long Beach, and that was in 2015. And that was the year that I actually started working at the Arts Council, and I attended a community arts meeting before I even started, and it was heated. People even then were contesting the name of Powwow Long Beach, especially because there's an annual powwow that's held at Cal State Long Beach at the Pavungna site in Long Beach. And so, it was a really heated conversation. And I was really excited to continue to work with the Arts Council, because I think that, like you were saying earlier, everyone has such a varying perspective on like what public art is and what it can be and what it should be. And I love being a part of that discourse. I love being a part of those conversations, because at the end of the day, it's about wanting to, at least for me, right? It's about wanting to learn other people's perspectives and vantage points and the way they see the world, right? And the way they interpret art and everything. And so, I definitely still think that the name of the programming is controversial. And I want to say that its initial intent with sprouting out of Hawaii, was with good merit, but personally, I feel like it's still problematic, especially within Long Beach. I will be transparent and also saying that I am a 2019 Powwow Long Beach artist. So it's like conflicting, and I want to just, be transparent and saying like, I definitely am on like multiple sides of the line kind of a thing, and have volunteered and restored quite a few murals myself. But yeah, I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks too.
All right. What do you think, Judy? Uh-oh. You muted.
Well, initially, yeah, I have like the same sentiments. I am a little, it bothers me that they are known as powwow. It does bother me that they go to other countries and invite the natives to participate in ceremony, and they have not invited the native community of Long Beach. So that is bothersome. I know at first a lot of people were excited, but once, I don't know, I'll just speak candidly. It almost seems like a slap in the face to a lot of Long Beach artists, and it seems like a clout war. You only get a powwow mural if you are part of the powwow club, and you have to fit a certain, you have to be able to check certain boxes in order to be in that club. And I think, in my opinion, it is why powwow murals are the murals getting defaced.
I see.
It's like I said, we have a very large hip hop community, therefore a very large graffiti community. And I know a lot of the graffiti artists are very well known in Long Beach. Like I said, they have felonies for creating art that an organization is able to just come and be accepted by the city. Meanwhile, the same individuals that paved the way for that art form are looked down upon and spoken down upon. So you have two groups. You have the city of Long Beach that has been persecuted for cultivating this art form, and then you have an outside group that comes in and does this art. And where they first started was just in downtown Long Beach. And he said, as fourth generation Long Beach, powwow does not really feel like it's for Long Beach, in my opinion. I grew up in West and North Long Beach, and the first things that powwow went to was downtown Long Beach. So it felt to me as a Long Beach resident that powwow was for tourists. Powwow was for downtown Long Beach. Downtown Long Beach does not feel like a safe space for people that are born and raised in Long Beach.
So basically, an institution came in and co-opted the art form, the rhythm of the street, if you will, is what you're saying. It's very interesting, because I hear some people sing the praises of powwow, that others are like, ugh, it's like, wow, really something. And then I also hear how, okay, well, we can't touch that mural because it's a powwow mural. And then I think there's even probably council districts that, are a little adverse to powwow coming, or feel shortchanged because powwow did not come to their district.
No, and it's even defeating the purpose. Like, they came and they sold the city on this idea of beautification and progressive. And now here we are, we have all of these defaced murals, and now the Arts Council, like we are trying to figure it out. Like, Long Beach is our home, and we are here to stay. So
yeah,
we've got to figure it out.
And we're strategizing internally on how to create some sort of funding that can be allocated to restoration of artworks. And that conversation still is tricky, right? It's like, well, who will restore those works? Are they competent enough to restore those works? I'm sure you all have seen those like restoration projects gone wrong, right? Like, so a lot of those artists are not able to fix their walls. They don't live here. A lot of them do. Some of them have raised like GoFundMe accounts to restore artworks. And at the Arts Council, we really try to incorporate, we do incorporate a maintenance plan for public artworks that we're responsible for. And it's a 10-year contract usually with the business owner, the Parks and Rec department, the commission department. Depending on where the location is, we definitely try to advocate for maintenance and restoration of the artworks. And I'll just add too that the Long Beach Parks and Rec department has continuously maintained their artworks for over 20 years. And it's best practices. It's like, if you want this here, then you should allocate funding to maintain it. I think that's what's responsible, in my opinion. So.
All right. We're almost out of time here. We're actually over our time, but this is such a fascinating conversation. And I enjoy you all. Thank you all for coming to Coffee Conversations with Greg J. But since we're talking about restoration, okay, where do we and history even there, Maureen? So like the Long Beach Arena down there with the Wyland paint is in need of serious restoration. It's starting to look really bad. What do we need to do to restore that? How does it work, and what is the history of that beautiful building there? It's certainly iconic when we look about the skyline of Long Beach, right? It's like that's one of the main things you see, and it's just fading away really, really bad. What do we need to do?
Well, in my opinion, we just bring the arena back to the way it was originally built by Kenneth Wing, who was a major architect in town. Beautiful building. It was the painting on it was very subtle, and it really highlighted the fact that, I don't know if you've been up to the entrances lately, but there's these glass boxes that come off of this round building that were accentuated by Ken Wing. And then when Wyland put the Wyland whale mural, it caused a big stink apparently in town. I wasn't here then, but I personally, since Judy's being personal, I'll be personal. In my opinion, I'm okay with that being repainted, and we can take, photo document it all we want and move on. Because I do think the architecture of that building is lost with the Wyland whale mural.
Wow, that's
2 cents.
yeah.
Because there's two artists that work there, right? There's the architect, which did an incredible design on this very mid-century building that was set in the Rainbow Lagoon, which was itself, kind of an engineering marvel, and then having the mural come in later with really no concept of how it would juxtapose on this building. And I think the idea was to it looks like it's swimming in the water and all these, but on the other hand, it was a beautiful building by itself. And so sometimes simplicity is better.
I did see online some conversations where folks were kind of, saying the same thing. And I was like, that's just, I just really kind of wrote it off because I thought it was just essential to Long Beach, that painting. But, such a classic artist, like, Wyland isn't he like of his generation, like this icon of, what would you say, climate, Earth Day? He's that guy, right? Just painting and expressing the preservation of the ocean and all that whole thing.
Some might say that. Some might say he's a commercial opportunist. I don't know. I'm not qualified to be an art critic, but I do enjoy good architecture, and I do feel that painting that mural usurped the architecture of that incredible, very unique building.
Okay. Amy, what do you think? You're muted there. Unmute yourself, please. Let me see if I can do it from here. Oh, I can't do it. You're muted there, Amy. I don't know. Oh, there she is. I think. Amy, I can't hear you. Let's see if I can mute you and then unmute you. All right. So now you're unmuted. Go for it again. Oh, I can't hear you. Okay. Well, look, put it in the chat. I'm just interested to know your perspective. And is the Wyland painting on your Tour LBC? Does it qualify? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Let me say it like that. Oh, see?
It's so harsh.
So harsh, right? Oh man, a tough crowd here. But the thing of it is that something needs to be done because at the same time, I mean, you're right, the architecture. So let's just boil it down to the foundation of it. It is iconic. The arena is iconic. It's historic to the history of Long Beach, and so certainly maybe that is a good idea just to paint over it and start all over. Give some other artists a chance or something. I don't know. It needs to be restored though. Something needs to happen because that booger is looking bad.
And it starts with an honest conversation. So thank you, Maureen.
Right? Yes. All right. Okay. So then the other question I'd like to ask you all is: you mentioned the homeland. Okay, what do we need to do over there? I'm perceiving that there's some attention that needs to be placed on this location. Why do we not have an arts program there? And what do we need to do to, find the resources to reestablish it? What needs to happen?
I think the conversations just need to, get sparked up again. I think part of the reason why the programming stopped is also due to COVID. But, I think it's just about having that conversation with the community and seeing how we can bring programming like that to other places in Long Beach too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's vital.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think it will help to bring it back?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and one of the things that I wanted to share today too is our public art map, which I have pulled up on screen if you'd like to.
All right, let's see here. Let's go.
It's a project that, we've been working on for 6 years now, and I'm really proud of it. And, it really is a community arts project. And I do want to give credit here to all the public art interns who have essentially, stewarded this this archive and this database that we have internally at the Arts Council. So I want to give a shout out to Jamel Odom, to myself, Cynthia Lujan, to Daisy Rosas, Victoria Hernandez, Janelle Reyes, Patrick Ong, and Sergio Landias, who's our current public art associate, public art and grants associate. And so a lot of this work has actually been an initiative that's been supported by the Getty Foundation's Marrow undergraduate internship program. So every summer we've had an intern for 10 weeks at 40 hours a week. And so, the majority of this work is POC led. And I think that it's important to note that because this collection is essentially designed and created for residents of Long Beach and those who are in community within Long Beach. It's let me go through the website.
Yeah, let's see some of this stuff. Let's see some of it. Check it
out. So it's organized. So, 2 years ago, we launched this on our website. It's a map right now. Sorry that there's some blank images. We're getting all these uploaded for you guys. So recently we launched this webpage, which is the tours page. and it shows respective partner initiatives that have happened throughout the city. So Long Beach Transit is actually a really big sponsor in public art. They actually have so many artworks within their bus stops. There's also been initiatives in North Long Beach through Councilmember Rex Richardson's office, and a lot of those have been called the Uptown Creative Corridor Challenge. We did a mural project within the Anaheim corridor called the Cambodia Town Mural Project, and we're going to be having a phase 2 of that soon, so keep an eye out for those conversations about that. This data is also organized based off council district, so you're able to click in and view the council district page and identify where a certain artwork is within its boundaries. You're also able to view it based off, I'll go to this page. So this is the council district pages. You're also able to view it based off neighborhoods. You can search based off public art artists. So I'm sure a lot of you recognize these artworks. Art Mortimer is pretty prolific in Long Beach, and I think in other places of California as well. You'll also see Jose Loza, who actually did a lot of work through Long Beach Parks and Rec. That's where I believe he got started doing public art, like in the program that I recently mentioned or previously mentioned. You can also search based off type of art. And
now, what's the website where this is located? We'll put it in the chat for the people.
Yes, so it's located at artslb.org, and it's all nestled under public art map. So here it is. So yeah.
All right, so there it is, and it's you said so / public arts map, one word.
It's I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat.
Okay.
Here we go. So yeah, and essentially, this is designed with the resident in mind. It's designed for Long Beach, for residents, for neighborhoods, for those who frequent, all parts of the city. And it's a great way to do an audit of what do we already have in this neighborhood? What neighborhoods need more artwork? Are there any sculptures here? And this is just the beginning of the conversation of public art too, right? Like, hopefully we can start sponsoring public art of various mediums, not just visual art centered, incorporating performing arts in public spaces, in a different way that's just like event based, right? Like it's a different type of work to be doing performing arts or within public space. So yeah, I really hope that y'all check it out. Really grateful that we've had community leaders who have stewarded this project, and if you also have an artwork that is not on our website, please feel free to go ahead and add that. So you would be able to go to the search the map, and at the bottom you can add a listing. So if you're an artist, definitely would highly encourage you to fill out your information regarding the artwork. And yeah, we look forward to adding more artworks as time goes on. And yeah, that's all I have for right now.
All right, y'all. Listen, I could keep you on all day, but I got business meetings that I need to take care of and everything. And this is a fascinating discussion. We have to have you all back again. I'm really, really I need to get deeper with Maureen on the houses there too. That's pretty fascinating stuff there, and I'm gonna download the Tour LBC app that's on the App Store there. Amy, thank you so much for that. Judy and Cynthia, you are warrior queens for real, and I already knew that, but I'm gonna just say it publicly. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for your advocacy, your tireless work. In support of the arts community. I don't think people really realize how hard these women are working for the rights and the benefits of the arts community here in Long Beach. Griselda Suarez is out there. She's watching. She's the executive director. She's saying stuff out here. That lady right there, she needs to be honored. You need to make sure she's in the history books there, Maureen, because she is really making a difference out here in this arts community, the Arts Council for Long Beach. Go to artslb.org, artslb.org. If you're an artist, get on the arts registry. If you just want to find out where all this beautiful art is, make sure you get on there. They got the map. You saw that. You got all kinds of information about the arts, all things arts here in Long Beach. Get that app, Tour LBC. So you can find out all about it. I'm sure my friends will come back again and we can chit chat all about this great stuff. And now that we found out some great information, we're going to see how we can get some of these murals fixed. And we're going to really see what we can do about that Long Beach arena. How about that? All right. Coffee Conversations with Greg J. You know it. It's going to be, we're live on the Facebook page, Coffee Conversations with Greg J, where it will live. It will live on demand. It'll be on demand at Beach City Radio, beachcityradio.com. Check that out. It's on YouTube, YOUTUBE. You know where it is, YouTube. And then also the audio version, we'll upload that a little later on today. So it'll be wherever you want to get your favorite podcasts. We're on Apple. We're on iHeart, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google. Man, everywhere. Just Google it. Coffee Conversations with Greg J. If you want to support independent media, you can do so. You can Cash App us. All that information is on the screen right now. And just check it out. We're just breaking new paradigms. We're culturally relevant. And yes, we're local because we live here in Long Beach. We emanate from the Dream Creator Studio in the East Village Arts District of Long Beach, California. But yet we are global. Everything all over the world. And speaking of that, let's see. We got a special edition on tomorrow. I know COVID's been rough on a lot of people. And we got the Deputy Director of the State of California's Housing Commission, and he's talking about how to get rental relief in this time. They've got a portal that you can go in and I guess, file the necessary information, and you might get a grant to relieve yourself from some of this problems, if you're behind on your rent. And all of that, we're going to give you vital information on that right from the horse's mouth, the officials of the state of California. Then on Thursday, our neighbors to the north, Compton, California, they had elections last week. And if you know Compton, it's a volatile political place. And so we've got the former mayor, the inspiring Mayor Omar Bradley, will be joining us on Thursday. And he's got a lot to say. So fasten your seatbelts and tune in Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Then next week, I'm so excited about this one. Next week, we're coming all the way live from Durban, South Africa. And you may know that if you follow my posts, you know that the king of the Zulu kingdom passed away about a month ago. His wife, or one of his wives, the queen, took over as per their customs. And she passed away just late last week. And so that's the big news over there in South Africa. And since, our eyes are always on the royals with Prince Philip passing away and all of that, but so we're going to turn that lens over to African royalty. And, this is a real deal, We're going to discuss this, and my good friend Dr. Dumisama Goba will be joining us all the way live from the heart of the Zulu Kingdom, Durban, South Africa. I think that's it. I think I've done everything that I need to do. As always, y'all, love one another. Love one another. Love one another. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Greg.
You too.